Hey, I get a lot of emails from people who want to know how they can strike their irons better. So right after this, let me give you a couple of ideas and a couple of drills that I think will help you move your iron game forward, get more compression, better divot location, more consistency. Everybody wants to be more consistent, so stay tuned. So one really important concept that you've got to understand to strike your irons pure all the time is the concept of the low point. So here in between the two sticks, if I were to put my heel right against the orange stick, where the proper low point should be, now I've got an 8-iron here, but it doesn't matter what club you've got in your hand. This will work with every club throughout the set. I've got the low point lined up. If I can control it right off my left heel, I want to reach the bottom of my arc with most every shot, at least every stock shot that I'm not trying to flight or do anything with. But all my stock shots with every club in my bag, from my sand wedge all the way to my driver, I can make the same setup and the same swing, and I'm going to try to reach the low point in the same place, which is up right at the left heel is a really good place for it, maybe just inside the left heel. Now, if I've got an 8-iron here, what I'm going to do is it'll fit just perfectly with this third golf ball, and you can see where the ball position now has to go and where it is in alignment with my feet. It's a little bit forward of center, of course, but that's less relevant to where it is to the low point. I've got this thing about 2 or 2.5 golf balls behind the low point, and my handle is always inside this, between these sticks on the low point. So we're going to have about a 3.5-inch forward lean. That's the way the manufacturers have designed the clubs. Every club gets slightly different at the bottom, either from more of a sharp cutting action through the grass with a downward strike, starts to get less of that, more bounce, and we start to want to bounce them off the turf and sweep. Now here's the pitching wedge. Put my feet back in the same spot again, right about here. And you can see if I set up to the 8-iron, the pitching wedge will just set up perfectly to the same setup with this fourth golf ball, just like that. And so a pitching wedge is going to have 4.5 inches or so of forward lean. The handles end up in the same spot, right here at the low point. And now I've got the ball about 3.5 balls behind the low point, and that gives me potential to come down and strike a little bit steeper if I reach the grass with the handle 3.5 inches forward. I'm going to have a slightly steeper angle of attack like a pitching wedge is designed for. With the 8-iron, not as much. The second ball here would be for like a 5-iron, and the last ball here might be for a long iron, 3-iron, 2-iron, say a 3 hybrid, something like that. Now we're getting pretty close to the low point because those longer clubs are designed to sweep. So you've got your 5 wood, your 4 hybrid, 3-iron, whatever you're carrying in your bag is going to be maybe 1 ball inside the left heel, and that's going to give you about a 1 or 1.5 inch forward lean at address. And hopefully that's what you're going to maintain as you go through the impact zone. All right, now of course this begs the question, well Steve, that's the problem, that's why I clicked on this video. I chunked the ball, I topped the ball, I just can't seem to get my forward leans right. I've seen it on video, I'm leaning it backwards at impact, I look scoopy like this, hit the ball really short and really high. So that's a lot of the people that come to see me in one-on-one lessons, they do stuff like that. They do not look like they've got a lot of forward lean at the moment of impact. So we've also got to control the low point. And here's an excellent exercise for this. You can see I would put the ball, I got the 8-iron again. I've got the ball, again, just slightly forward of center here, like this. And it's about, again, it's about 3, 2.5 or so golf balls behind the low point. Now in this case, you see I've got the yellow stick, not quite to the low point, but I've got it a little more in the middle of my stance. It doesn't really matter where the ball is here. You'll have to move the stick around a little bit, but what you're after here is put the club behind the stick. You can practice really small. You're simply trying to take it back and strike the ground in front of the stick without hitting the stick. So if you move the stick, then you have failed the drill. Keep doing it on a small scale. Start at the stick, strike in front of the stick. Start at the stick, strike in front of the stick. Now you'll see you'll have to exaggerate by several inches in order to miss the stick clean. So it's really going to help you get a feel for how your body has to move. Your body has to move differently than it's doing now if you're going to get this forward low point. You can see in the slow-mo swing there that even though it's a small swing, you can see I am building and holding quite a bit of lag compared to what you might see yourself maybe in a casting position. But you can also see quite a bit of forward lean as the club reaches the yellow stick and starts to enter the turf just after. You can see a lot of forward lean, and that's really what you're looking for, is control the low point and get the proper amount of forward lean on the strikes. And this is just a great drill to emphasize. You just keep doing this. You can do this in the living room at home. You know, get an old carpet or a welcome mat or something tough, and you'll see what you've got to do prior to the strike is, the difference is you've got to shift majority of your weight over to the outside of your left foot, and you're probably going to have to pre-turn your chest and hips a lot more out in front of the strike too. If you just don't turn, you're probably going to bury it in the ground, and then of course you'd wipe the stick out too. And so once you've figured out how to make a divot in front consistently, it should look like this. So I'm getting all my weight over to the left foot early, well before the strike is made. You can almost back engineer, reverse engineer what you've got to do with the body and not make it super technical, but just tell yourself, divot in front of the stick, divot in front of the stick. Now, when we go to do it with a golf ball, put the golf ball in that same spot again. Now watch. I'll just do a practice swing, divot in front of the stick. Then I just simply move up to the ball quickly, do that same small swing, and divot in front of the stick. And you can hear it get a really crisp, solid contact, forward lean, compression, all that. One more time. The drill, once you've done, and at home you've done hundreds, maybe a couple of thousand of the divot in front of the stick, just small scale. Take it to the range, put the stick down with the ball just behind it. Now you've kind of got this visual, quick rehearsal swing, divot in front, quickly move up to the ball and just tell yourself, divot in front of the stick again. And again, we've got a forward divot, crisp contact, solid contact, where you can tell you've compressed it because the handle is leaning forward a little bit extra like that. Now, once you start getting the hang of this exercise and you're starting to hit the ground in front of the ball and you're starting to feel what does it feel like to get the low point up at the left heel every time, then you can start to stretch it out. Stretch the swing out, make a little bit of a bigger back swing. See that divot way in front though. A little bigger swing this time, going for a little more distance. And I'm up maybe about to 150 on that swing with an 8-iron. But again, I've got the right trajectory because I've got the forward lean I need, got the proper strike. There's no hint of hitting the ball fat or thin like a lot of people at home might do. but instead I've got control of the low point, control of the ball position, which will give me control of the forward lean at the moment of the strike. And we get right back to that address position where we started it about 3.5 inches ahead on the 8 iron. We just returned right back again. So starting in the correct position will help you make impact more consistently rather than starting with the handle, even with the leading edge. It means at some point during the swing, you're going to have to find 3.5 inches coming down. And on a 7, you got to find 3 inches. On a 6, you got to find 2.5. And that's not a very consistent method of doing things when you got to keep finding. In other words, you got to use a different swing for every club in your bag. But this way, if you just control the location of the low point to one spot and understand how the ball position needs to work back as the clubs get smaller. Of course, with the driver, you'd be teeing it up in front of the low point so you can get an up strike. And this way you can really control where the divot is made in your trajectory and the quality of your strikes. Hey, I really hope that these exercises will help you strike your irons more pure. I'm Steve, thanks so much for watching, and as usual, I'll either see you in the next video or I'll see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Everybody take good care.